If you're not above the age of 18 and you are here, get out. Hello, hello.
First of all, I want to say, Serena, I love all the plushies that you have. They're so cute. I love the Bulbasaur one.
Thank you.
Anyways, hello, I'm Riley Page. I'm 19. My pronouns are she, her, and I pretty much stream whatever I want, whenever I want. I'd say I'm a variety streamer, and most of my content does focus on Twitch. I love gaming and chatting. When it comes to spicy content, I post, I guess, kind of lewd content on Fansly. That's my main platform. uh I don't know. I don't really have a niche like most people do. It's just kind of lewd overall. So
Stigma involved with doing it. So when you're kind of dealing with the societal stigma that can just overall be challenging, how do you handle judgment or misconceptions about what you do, both online and offline, and how can people in the adult industry kind of support each other in combating that stigma?
yeah, well, so something I think that's a little silly, just me personally. I I think people just assume that, I guess, sex workers. Well, it depends on what you do, of course, but I mean, for us who most of us just post, lewd content. They assume that we're just like very, sexual human beings and we'll just like fuck whatever we want, and that's just like not true. For me, it's definitely not. Like I have the lowest sex drive known to man. I just think that's kind of a funny misconception.
Um, it's it's taken me time. I know that sounds kind of like, I don't know, cheesy. It's just taken me time to not care about it. Like sometimes I'll read some comments, which, never read the comment section, but reading comments on Twitter or whatever, and people are just so nasty to sex workers. And it's just, I don't know, building up that tolerance. Like it really sucks that I feel like we have to do that, but building that thick skin of just like, I don't care. Working on it for yourself, like being okay with what you're doing, um, is a big part of sort of pushing past the haters or whatever.
If you are going to be a content creator of any kind, people are going to judge you, people are going to laugh at you, and people are going to tell you you're never going to succeed. I have been internationally published. I've been in commercials. I'm on Twitch now. People buy my feet content. Like every time someone has laughed in my face, I have proven them wrong time and time again. The other day, I posted on my Facebook page, which normally gets 100 to 300 viewers on my story, that I started selling feet pictures. Almost 800 people saw that of my personal friends and family on my regular Facebook, because I got to the point where I was like, fuck it. I don't care anymore. Who knows what I do and what I don't do anymore. And it was crazy to see such a huge like influx on my, it's not a private page, but it is my personal page on Facebook. So that there's like 600, 700 extra people who were just lurking and stalking, and you're going to have that happen. People are going to judge you, and you just have to let them be your viewers. You have to let them support you with just viewership, because people are going to hate.
I don't make that sort of content. I have no issue with anyone who does. Go out there, get the bag. As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as no one's forcing you to do whatever. Enjoy yourself. Like, people need to understand it's not their decision to do it. It is not their, like, place to be like, you're not allowed to do this because it's not your life. So just let people do what they are comfortable doing as long as it is something they want to do.
I totally agree. I think like the way that I
Absolutely.
see it is, if you're not harming anyone, do you? And if I mean, like, why judge someone for what they're doing if it doesn't affect you? I've just never understood it.
And I would not be anywhere if I would have listened to anybody. Like when I started modeling 10 years ago, if I would have listened to those people, I never would have been published or in commercials or on billboards. I never would have made it to stream. And it's crazy. Like all these things I've done have led me to where I am right now talking to you guys. And it's like, if you let those haters and those people who are judging you and people are going to be rude to you no matter what you do. So you might as well be happy and do what makes you happy and do the things that you love, because people are going to hate you even if you don't do it.
I was gonna say, since we're talking about stigmas, I do fetish content. There is a huge thing behind fetish content. You know, so many people going, well, it's not consent, because you've seen, you know, they've seen so many things that are wrong, and so I've had to do what God was talking about. I've had to educate a lot of people on this is consent, or like, since I do pet play, I get a lot of, well, you're a furry, and I have to explain to people the difference between pet play and being a furry. And like, once they kind of understand the difference, I feel like they stop judging me, but then there's still the people that judge me, so I just kind of have to, like, you know, just ignore them or block them or whatever I have to do so it doesn't affect me.
She get a little naughty, you know, and I feel like if you are proud of yourself and you see the progress, you see how you see the benefits that it's bringing to you, then that is something you should hold on and fight for, because you can be doing a regular schmegler, you know, 9 to 5. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but people are going to complain about that as well, you know. So at the end of the day, if it makes you happy, just do it.
Like, this identity, I do my best not to attach it so much to my real name, because I have a day job and I have a professional career and a decade of writing associated with my real name. And it's, you know, I don't know if I'm ready to take the leap and move from this semi-professional image I've had so far to something far more wild. It's one of the big reasons I'm a VTuber. And like, how would I combat the stigma? I don't know. At present, I don't know if I'm brave enough to do that.
A off-topic note, I'm so sad, man. I dropped my apple on the floor and I wasn't done eating it, and now it's just covered in dirt and I can't eat the rest of my apple, so I'm kind of sad, man. But like, also,
Can't just like pick the stuff off. Is it like just
Rinse
covered?
it.
it's just fuzzy right now. I don't like it.
Okay.
It's my dinner too.
It's gone. I just
It's
took it
fine.
away. Mm-mm.
On to our next topic. So, kind of focusing on your personal safety and well-being while working in the adult industry. What strategies do you kind of employ, and has there ever been a situation where your safety or well-being has came into potential harm or danger? And if you feel comfortable sharing it, how did you deal with it, and what was happening in the situation?
I had an experience a few weeks back actually, where listen, I was going through something mentally, and I was like on dating apps or whatever, and one of my fancy subscribers messaged me. He was super respectful about it, and he said that he had saw my account on Bumble, and that he was like, "Hey, apparently we live in the same area. I'll unsubscribe if that makes you uncomfortable." That was a very strange moment for me. I, I don't know. That's just more of a story time than like a lesson, really. Uh, but I don't know. I didn't really know how to go about it, honestly. I'd love to hear from everyone else about how you guys kind of keep maybe your personal life and your content separate, or how you guys keep yourself safe.
I do not go anywhere by myself whatsoever.
If people have the will and the resources to do it, they can find you. Like, it's really unfortunate that that's the case, but just for like casual sort of everyday people, you know, looking for you, I think separating everything to start with is really good. You know, going by an alias and trying your best to be consistent with it. I don't do any meetups either. I don't do like, at least for my like spicy stuff, I don't go there. For me, like, that's past one of my boundaries. But when I go to like cons and everything, you know, I try not to go anywhere alone. Or if I have to, I text someone and say, hey, here's, like, I share my location with one of my best friend, and say like, hey, you know, I'm going out. Here's when I think I'm coming back.
What about the guys?
when you are doing content creation, yes, you do have to watch yourself personally and out here in the real world. But when it comes to doing stuff online, the content that you make, it is incredibly important to lock down your accounts. Do not write down passwords on a piece of paper. I myself use Bitwarden. It's free, very reliable. And if two-factor authentication is available on your account, use it. It may be tedious. You may find it, laborious and like, hey, why am I doing this every single time I got putting up? No, it's imperative because the content that you are creating is online. And yes, while we are afraid that people might see it, while we are afraid that people might try to steal it, it's also very scary when people just take your digital life and have total access and ownership to it.
Yeah, and adding on to that, when it comes to your content and your personal life, I would say 2 separate emails is very important. You definitely don't want to use your personal email with anything business related, whether it's spicy content or just normal content. Definitely keep those 2 things separate because, I mean, if you have that same email and someone if you use the same email for personal and business and, someone who watches your content, gets into that business email, they will also have access to all of your personal things, maybe work things, and that's just messy. So if you do want to get into content in general, definitely make a business email or a content email outside of your personal email.
And kind of to go back to a conversation Riley had at the beginning, just recently in January, I did one of my first meetups. I did a group of EVs. I had a Comic-Con close to where I live. And so I had a bunch of my girlfriends and even girls I didn't know. There was 8 or 9 of us dressed up as a different Eevee from Pokemon. I was Sylveon. And I had a little get together at my house. And as we were leaving, I saw a guy, he was staring at me. Didn't really think about it much, whatever. And a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I got a message saying, hey, I saw you at my apartment complex. Do you want to model for me? So I don't know if he realized that I live here or if it was one of the other girls. I don't know what went through his brain, but I definitely didn't tell him, oh, I live here too, because I try to not tell people where I live in general. I'm a Texas girly. I don't, Kate, that's correct? Yeah. I think you don't ever want to give out too much, ever. So, hi, I'm Texas. That's it. I try not to give out any more information other than that. And he kind of went into the, I have a girlfriend. I promise this isn't weird, but you should model one of my t-shirts for me. And I was like,
That's kind of weird, man.
This sounds sketchy. This sounds weird.
No, yeah.
And I never really responded either. I didn't know what to say. So I kind of feel like Riley, I don't know how to handle that conversation or what to do. Because I know you kind of said, a guy messaging was in your area who did subscribe to you. And it's like, what do you do when people around you who you don't know see you at your apartment complex or match with you on Bumble? What do you do to protect yourself? Just because I don't ever want to assume that person's creepy right off the get-go, but I also don't want to think, oh, this person's harmless, and then have something horrible, bad happen to me either.
Also, just in general right now, AI is very, very weird because I think everybody here, if we saw some sort of AI image, we'd be like, yeah, that's fake. But if anyone saw recently on Twitter the whole Taylor Swift thing, where those Kansas City Chiefs images came out, it's older people, no offense to anyone who may be older here, but if you're slightly older, you may be not used to seeing some sort of AI image, or you may not be as good as distinguishing between it. And so a lot of people automatically are like, what the heck, why is Taylor Swift posting these kind of things? It was literally fake images you could see, but still you have to understand that there is that potential danger now of, because AI is so prominent and it has improved so much in literally the span of a year or two since it's became kind of popular, that people may be weird and they're like, okay, well, since this person won't do this certain thing for me, let me just make it myself. And then you have that situation where there was a streamer who he was at the time he was very big, but he ended up having a deep fake AI website up of a bunch of female streamers he was friends with up on his stream, and it was just
oh
like,
yeah, I remember that.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was like, I was just looking at it for research. What kind of research, sir? That's weird. It's just, I think go with the assumption, unless you personally know the person and like you trust them, assume everyone is a bad person. You're more likely to like stay safe that way. But yeah, we just want to make sure that no matter what you're doing, you're safe while you're doing it. You want to do it, and it's something that you are like enjoying, and it's not just like kind of forced. But I think it's always important to kind of be able to communicate that, and making sure that you have open and honest communication just overall with your audience about like your boundaries, expectations, and kind of like changes in your content. So when we'll say whenever you first started doing this sort of content, if you were very open with community about it and like what you would be doing, how did you kind of communicate with that with them? Did anyone potentially take it the wrong way, and how would you guide people through transitioning their community to like, hey, I'm still like doing Twitch, but like if you want to go look like 75 links deep, there is this content over here on this additional site?
I was just honest with my community and just said like, hey, this is something I want to do. If you guys are down, you can find the stuff. I feel like people find my links without me having to really like make it super obvious, I guess. I think when I was doing more body painting content, it sort of like segued really nicely into that. And I'm just generally really straightforward with my community anyway, and I don't think there was really anyone who was very vocal like, oh wow, you suck, I can't believe you're doing that. I know that happens to a lot of creators, like, wow, you used to be this type of person or whatever. What happened to your content, kind of thing. Luckily I haven't really dealt with a lot of that.
Okay. When it comes to on it, one thing I can tell you, and this is regardless of what type of content you create, honesty is always the best policy. Being open, being honest, keeping it real, as I like to say. As long as you keep it real, and you know what you're about, and you're forward about it and honest about it with your community, they're going to understand the type of content you make, and they're going to seek out what content they like. You know, it's the same thing with being on Twitch. You make content here on Twitch, there's an audience for it, there's a niche for it. Some people will be like, hey, I'll sit around and chill and hang out with this. I want to see this. Others will be like, I'll go to this guy. It's the same thing with adult content. When it comes to making it, just be forward about it. I've always been forward with my community. They know what I'm doing. It's like, yes, I make this content here. It's lewd. Don't bring your kids. And if you want to see the real spicy stuff, you know, I have sites for that. There's links over there. Here's my link for all my great links right here. And they'll go where they need to go accordingly. That's just how it is. You know, in the long run, when you have people who just like you and what you do, it's very easy to be open with them. It's very easy to be honest with them. And it just flows. That's what I have found.
Respectfully, fuck you, dude. I'm gonna do me. And if you don't like that, you're out. You're gone. You're done.
I haven't had anyone tell me anything like too crazy yet, but just like Serena said, fuck them. Honestly, if you're making the money, you're enjoying yourself, just do it. Like like I said before.
If you can monetize off of it, why not?
You're selling yourself, you're selling your photos, price however high you want to do that. Somebody will pay for it.
My butthole is worth at least 10 Helldivers.
And me personally, one thing I literally just did, I want to say like last week, is changing those prices. Those prices are not set forever. Don't be afraid to, research and take a look at what, some other people are doing. I'm not ashamed of it. I'll be on there just, scrolling, seeing creators who are similar to me or the same kind of like niche or like fantasy that I'm trying to sell or what I'm comfortable with. And then I'll kind of compare and I'll fluctuate. At the end of the day, if they want to support you, they're going to support you regardless.
Honestly, just never make the decision to like sell yourself for lower than what you think you're worth.
Don't do anything just for money. Like sex work, any work that you do, content work, quote unquote real jobs, like whatever you're doing for work and you're getting money in your bag, don't do it just for money unless you absolutely want to. Just know, like Sassy said, things can be leaked very, very quickly. So if you're trying to make a quick buck and you're very, very uncomfortable doing something, but you want to make that money, make sure you sit down, you really think about what you want to do, and just know that whatever you're posting or putting out into the universe might get leaked. So do not do it just solely for the money. Do it because you want to, you're comfortable with doing so, and make sure if you're doing anything with anybody else that consent is there. And that's just not in the sex world, that's with anything. Consent is super, super important. And if I can give any advice to anyone out there, for anything that you do, consent is very important.